Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Now today we are going to be taking a trip down memory lane. That's right, we are going to take it back to the old school. Now don't get offended if you have ever participated in any of these games that I'm going to be talking to you about, but I do call them old school games because I used to play them when I was a child. My parents used to play them when they were children. And to be honest, these games have stood the test of time, so it's nothing to be ashamed about. But in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 old school games that still stand the test of time and that your children will still love to this day. So diving right into things, game number 1 is Duck, Duck, Goose. Who remembers that? Do you guys remember that game? That used to be one of my favorite games as a child. And if you have no idea what Duck, Duck, Goose is, basically, it's a game where children or adults can do it too, but a group of people sit in a circle and one person kind of goes around and pats everybody on the head and says, duck, 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 duck. And whoever lands on goose is the person that has to get up and chase the other person around the circle and try to beat them before the other person sits back down, if that makes sense. It's such a fun game, and I promise you your children will love it. So if you have not done that game with your child just yet, you should bring it back. Old school game number 2 is musical chairs. Now, musical chairs is a game that I used to play at literally probably every birthday party I ever went to when I was a child. And basically, musical chairs is you set up a line or two of chairs and you have kids walk around and play music, and then when the music stops, everybody has to grab a chair, and if there's anybody left standing, that person is out. And it keeps going and going and going until there's only one person left, and that person is the winner. So musical chairs is another all-time favorite of mine. Old school game number 3 is hide and seek. Now, hide and seek is another classic, very simple game, but very much fun, right? So with hide and seek, the child basically goes off to hide and you or another child will go and chase them. Usually we would count down from like 10, right? So we would close our eyes and count down to 10 or count up to 10, and then when we get to that number, we're off trying to find the other person. And it kind of just switches back and forth. So hide and seek is one of those other games that your child will still love even today. Old school game number 4 is tag. Tag is a classic. It is super easy to play, right? You don't need any supplies. You just need your bodies. And basically tag is when somebody chases somebody else and you try to touch them, and when you touch them, tag, you're it, and then the next person goes off to try to chase somebody else and tag somebody else or touch somebody else. So tag is such a fun game, and it's very good physical exercise too. Now that I think about it, I didn't realize how much physical activity and exercise I was getting as a kid, but I got a lot because of all of these games. A lot of them are very physical. So tag is another one you should add to the list to play with your child even today. The next old school game is Simon Says. Now, Simon Says was so much fun, but it could be a little bit tricky too, right? You really had to listen for those instructions. So basically, Simon Says is basically when a person is designated as Simon. You can call it whatever you want, but let's just say the person is Simon. They are given instructions to everybody else, right? So they would say things like, Simon says, touch your head, and everybody has to touch their head. Simon says, touch your nose. Everybody touches their nose. But if you say something like, snap your fingers, and you snap your fingers, that person is out because guess what? Simon didn't say snap your fingers, right? So it's one of those games that also helps to work on following directions and listening and paying attention. So Simon Says you can use that game for all of those skills, as well as identifying body parts, and the list goes on. All right, so who remembers Red Rover? Does anybody remember that game? Red Rover is the next old school game on the list, right? Old school Red Rover is a classic and was also one of my favorites, but it was a little bit hard for me. You know, I'm a little light and a little, I'm strong now, but back then it was a little hard for me. So basically with Red Rover, you have 2 lines of people, right? And everybody is holding hands And basically you have to call somebody else from the opposite line. So let's just say there's a girl named Kim on the opposite team. So your line would say, Red Rover, send Kim right over. So Kim would break out of her line and run as fast as she can and try to break through your chain while you're holding hands, right? So if she breaks through your chain, then she gets to take you to the other side. But if she does not break through your chain, then she is added to your team. And so the winner of Red Rover is the team that has the most people on it by the end. So I think we're on old school game number 7? So old school game number 7 is freeze dance. Now this one is super easy and another one that I think I pretty much played at everybody's birthday party growing up. But basically all you do for freeze dance is turn on some music and you dance until the music stops. When the music stops, you freeze. And as long as the music has stopped, that is the amount of time you have to freeze. If anybody moves during that time where the music is off, then you're out, right? And you just keep playing it and keep playing it until somebody is the winner. Old school game number 8 is red light, green light. Red light, green light, another one of my favorites. So basically, when you say green light, the people run up to you. When you say red light, they stop. And then the first person that gets to you is the winner. It was such a simple concept, but it was so much fun. And if your child is one that kind of needs some like visual supports to kind of help them understand like red light, green light, something that I do is hold up like a green piece of construction paper and a red piece of construction paper, right? So when the child sees the green paper, they run to me as fast as they can. When I hold up the red paper, then they stop, right? And so that is such a fun game that you can also add to your list of old school games that you need to bring back and play with your kids today. Now, another old school game that I used to play is Follow the Leader. Now, with this one, I believe all you had to do was pick a leader, and whatever they did, you had to do it too. So if they start marching, then you start marching. If they start dancing, then you start dancing. If they start spinning, then you start spinning. So basically, you have to follow and do whatever the leader is doing. Now, if you mess up or if you do the wrong thing, then you're automatically out. And old school game number 10 is Hot Potato. Hot Potato was another very fun game where a group of us would sit in a circle and we would have a hot potato. But really, you could really use anything you want. Like nowadays, I think they actually sell like a potato that sings and all that, and when the song stops, like that person's out. But when I was a child, we literally would use anything to represent a hot potato, right? So let's just say I have a water bottle and I'm pretending that's the hot potato. Basically, you sit in a circle and this water bottle is now going to be the hot potato. So you pass it around in a circle. Usually we would have music playing in the background. You pass it around in a circle, and when the music stops, whoever's holding the hot potato is out. It's kind of like musical chairs, but like a seated version, right? So you keep doing that and passing that hot potato until there's only one person left, and that person is the winner. So I hope you enjoyed listening to and going down memory lane with me, listening to these 10 old school games that we used to play, but your child today would still have a blast playing. And like I said earlier in the video, these games, if you think about it, are very like physical games. And sometimes, or I will say actually majority of the time today, a lot of kids don't get as much physical activity as they used to. And so incorporating some of these games into your child's play is going to help them in so many ways. So if you ever used to play any of these games, let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's relate. I want to know who used to play some of these games when you were a child as well. Or if there are any that I left off this list and you're like, wait, what about this game? I used to play this game when I was a kid. Leave that in the comment section below as well so we can chat about that too. I want to know what games that you guys used to play when you were kids that also your kid today might absolutely love. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell a friend, share this video, like it, comment, all the things, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, thank you. Till next time. Bye.